Hello viewers, welcome to another video of HTML and CSS course. So this is lesson 9 of this course. In this lesson, we will be learning about HTML input types. In previous video, we learned about forms and form elements. And we left this input element of form for our next video, and this is video for that. And in this video, we will elaborate this input with its different types in a bit of more depth. As we talked in our previous video as well, that input tag changes its functionality and appearance depending on the type attribute. So there are various input types. For example, as you can see, some of them are listed here: button, checkbox, color, date, email, file, hidden, image, month. So we will be elaborating about them. Actually, in this video, we will not elaborate each one of them because it will make our video a really lengthy video. Whereas you can get an attachment or link to a file inside our description which just describes about all of these inputs in depth with examples and outputs. So we really prefer you to download that file and get a bit of indulge into them and get more expertise with this topic, because this is very important topic, as these inputs are mostly used inside the form element, which is a very important tag inside HTML to get information from our users and process it and change our website based on that input. So the first type that we are going to talk about is text type. This type of input specifies a single line text input. We just shown you this input in our previous video as well, but today we will be getting a bit more into it and elaborate it. So let's go into our IDE. So right here, I'll create a new file. These are all our files that we used inside our previous lessons. So for this lesson, lesson 9, HTML input types. And the extension for it, .html. I wrote the extension wrong. .html and our boilerplate, form input and its types. Right inside body, we are going to create a form and leave this action and target and method empty for now, because we are not going to send this data to any file yet. That is a bit of advanced thing that we will be learning along with in this journey. So in this form, I am going to create an input and give it a type of text. So there is another attribute named as name. Named as name. So this name contains the input name by which this data will be sent to our target location. For example, if this input is inside our form and when the data is sent to our action location, then the data written inside this input will be specified with this name. We will be able to access that data with this name. So inside this input, let us see it in our browser. As you can see, this is our input. Let us create a label for it. We talked about label in our previous video. Label and for attribute. For this, I am going to create input 1, and in this label, let's write input 1. And for this input, because that label is for this input, I am going to give it the ID of input 1. So you must know this, because if you have seen our previous video, then we have talked about all these things in a previous video. So if I may go back into our browser, and yet you can see this is the label for this input. So after this text type input, we have password type input. So inside browsers, whenever you log in, you see password type of inputs which just don't show the text and show the dots rather than each character. So let us create one password input as well. Let me copy this, and right here I can write password input. And if you don't know how to put these two cursors, click on one place and then hold the control and click. Click on one place where you want to place your first cursor, and then hold the Alt key and press and click where you want the second cursor. And they would both move in the same way as if you will be pressing any key. So after this, let me make it a type of password and password name. You can keep it as your preference, but we are just practicing here, so I think I should change it. So I should change it this way. So as you can see, this is let me change this text as well. Password 1. So right here, as you can see, this is our password 1. So if I type here, it will show our dots rather than the text. So inside the browsers, when you see that you type like this and it's just a password, and when you click a C button right as inside inputs, as you see, then these dots are connected to, are then actually converted to the text this way. So it's just tweaking of that type. They just, on that click, this type password is just changed to text. This way that thing is made. I thought it's a good idea to tell you right now that how do those inputs are made. So after this type password, we have the type submit. So this type specifies a button to submit the form data to the action location. So whenever this button would be clicked, the data of the form will be sent to our action location. Right here in this example, as you can see, if this is action page.php as action, as soon as this submit input will be clicked, the data will be sent to our action. So let me create one. So input type submit. As you can see inside our browser, this is that submit button. If I click it, it just submits the form, whereas we have not given any sort of action file inside this attribute, so it doesn't do that. If I may write here, create a new file named as test.php. We are not going to indulge into PHP for now. So for test, I may give that PHP's name here, /test.php. And right here, as I go back to this browser and I click submit, it just submits that. And right here, we have to specify our method as well. Let me give the post method. And if I may go back and click submit, it just submits that data. And it says this page isn't working because this is error related to our PHP file, and we haven't created any sort of thing inside our PHP file. So it just implies that we are just able to send our action and in the form of post to our file. So this is it behind this action. After the submit, we have our next type, which is reset type. So what does this reset type do? This reset type acts as a button inside our form. Whenever a user clicks this reset input, all the inputs inside this form will get to its default value. For example, if I write here input and type it as reset, let me go live again because we just got into that server. So right here, if I may write something and click this reset button, all of the values are shifted to our default values. So if I write here inside input, write a value for this input, each of the input can contain this value attribute as well, which will contain a value by default inside it. So default value inside it when the browser is just opened. So right here, as you can see, it's containing its default value. So if I may write something right here and reset it, it will just get back to its default value but not get empty because its default value is this default value. If I may even remove it and then click reset button, it will get its default value back because we have set its default value as this default value inside this value attribute. So this is it for this video. I hope you liked this video. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you very much. Goodbye.